Now that scuba spearfishing has been banned under the new rules package for the West Hawaii Fisheries Management Area, the Department of Land and Natural Resources wants to spend $250,000 to study spearfishing impacts in the same area. DLNR Chair William Isla tried to explain the request during the recent budget hearing at the House Finance Committee.
I noticed in your budget that there was a request for funds to study of spearfishing impacts.
That's correct.
What area was that?
We're looking at West Hawaii, where a spearfishing ban just recently went into effect.
Okay, can you kind of explain the logic of putting in the ban before you do the study?
That would be impossible.
Impossible to do the study while...
To explain the logic.
Oh.
Administrative rules go through a process. Contrary to my best efforts to convince my fellow land board members that we should at least do a study before we do it, the vote went the other way. So this is a realistic way of looking at a situation where, as a spearfisherman, as the chair of the department, I really felt that we should have done a study first, but unfortunately I was outvoted by other board members. So this is an attempt to go back in and provide some science to document the decision that was made, whether it was a correct decision or an incorrect decision.
So this particular decision by the board was vetted through a public hearing?
In many public hearings, correct.
Okay, and the community concurred with the concept of doing the ban before the study?
Certainly not all of the community.
Okay.
The spearfishing community did not agree.
The scuba spearfishing ban certainly was a controversial aspect of the proposed new rules. In fact, Isla tried to have the ban removed from the rules before it went to the land board for a vote.
So the package went to DLNR, and there was a briefing to the board as to the contents of the package. And at that time, the chair, Ayala, pulled this one specific provision. No board vote, no consultation. It was contrary to Bill Walsh, the scientist. It was contrary to all the testimony. So there was a lot of concern just in terms of process, that what's happening with the process.
Isla's attempt didn't sit well with those who helped craft the rules.
I'm a scuba diver, and I've seen what my colleagues do, both locals and tourists. It's not pretty down there. Therefore, I would support the reinstatement of rules terminating scuba spearfishing.
Spearfishing is great, but not by scuba.
Both sides made their case before the land board on decision day.
These fish that the scuba fishers are targeting are the big specimens that lay the most eggs, the ones we need the most.
If what they say is true, we would have wiped it out years ago. I would not be able to support my family.
To correlate fishing, overfishing, with the dead reef, that's not possible. There's something that's damaging this reef well beyond anybody's control. The fish weren't even attracted to those areas. And then, 50 yards to the right, the reef lit up. I mean, we saw schools of maybe 300 uhu, 400 uhu.
When the governor signed the new rules into effect in December, the scuba spearfishing ban was in place. Now, Isla wants to see if a study can prove whether or not it was the right decision.
So what would be the minimum needed? Is that the minimum needed to do the study, or is it possible to do the study with less money, and if you don't get the $250,000, can the study not be done and therefore nothing will happen in terms of the ban?
The $250,000 will give us the ability to get someone to go on the ground and identify how much spearfishing was going on in Kona, and then what the impacts are of the amount of spearfishing going on in Kona, whether it be by commercial fishermen or recreational fishermen. That money should give us that answer. Whether or not the quality of that answer is 100% or 50%, that I'm not sure. And depending on what we find, It may answer the question, and we, may go back to doing administrative rules to either solidify the decision or to undo this decision. We don't know yet. We don't know what the science is. We have science based on other parts. We have science based on spearfishing in other parts of the world, which convinced the board members to pass it. I'm not convinced that West Hawaii is like other parts of the world. For example, West Hawaii has a very narrow coastal shoreline, which drops off very deeply. I do know that there are places in West Hawaii where we have factors other than spearfishermen that are impacting the reefs. For example, areas where we have high nutrients coming off of resort areas. So there needs to be additional studies done to determine exactly who is causing the problem so that we can apply the correct management in the area. So the $250,000, I believe, is enough to do this study in West Hawaii and provide us with the management answers that I would like to see.
Chair, if I might. So what was the timeline for the study if you get the $250,000? How long would it take, how long for the study, and then how long would it take for the board to vet the details of the study and make a decision in regards to the continuation of the ban or the lifting of the ban?
We believe that the study can be done in 2 years, and to a point where we could actually use the information for management decisions. Administrative rulemaking, of course, would take at least 9 to 12 months after that. So if you're asking if there's an outcome at the end which would reverse the decision, we're probably looking at 3 years.
So a minimum of a 3-year ban at this point. And the ban started in January?
Ban started in I think February.
February.
I can't remember when the governor signed. It was a while after the land board passed the administrative rule, because the governor was going through a review process.
Okay, and the ban is based on the scientific evidence that
Was
the
presented
fishery is impacted by spearing.
based upon the scientific evidence generated in other parts of the world, presented to the land board, and the land board members present at the time voted 4-2 to support the ban.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Representative Morikawa.
Thank you, Chair. Going back, that's the Big Island ban. Now, you know, the Niihau issue is another thing, right? So before you guys ban fishing or recreational use around the island, are you guys going to do a study, or have you done a study?
We are reviewing studies that have been done around the island of Niihau right now.
Current studies, like current fish population studies?
I would say yes, but for certain areas, not for the entire area around Niihau. For certain parts of Niihau, there are studies on the books for that.
So you wouldn't ban anything until you come up with the study?
I would say that there's several legislative bills in the legislature right now.
I see $1 million in here for some, what is this, 3 positions and all kinds of equipment. I'm guessing they're boats. What area is this for? What?
Okay, that's for enforcement.
Enforcement,
yeah.
Because obviously, you know, when you ban something, you need to get out there to enforce it. Is this for Kauai specific or the whole state?
That is for the whole state, but one enforcement unit is for Kauai.
Okay, I just want to encourage you, do a study before you do a ban.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless he loses the vote. Well, yeah. You better go talk to the
Representative-
board member.
Okay,